This module provides a contemporary adaptation of Celtic, or insular half-uncial, that may serve as a model for copying. My adaptation aims to preserve a Celtic feel in a legible hand suitable for use today, particularly in applications where a Celtic reference is appropriate. It is suitable for presentations of, for example, ancient Irish, Scots or Welsh poetry, and may also be suited to formal applications with a cultural reference to traditions in any of the Celtic nations. The design is a product of my studies of ancient insular manuscripts, combined with a knowledge of the modern tradition of calligraphy founded by Edward Johnson in the 20th century. Aspects of my individual calligraphy techniques are also incorporated. It may be a practical script for students as part of an educational journey towards making their own adaptations based on Celtic or on other scripts. You should know that I'm not a perfectionist. There will be slight variations between the ideal forms I describe and those I demonstrate. We are not machines, and hand variation is part of the life of calligraphy. The main downstroke has a manipulated serif at the bottom, as well as the built-up serif at the top. The backward slant requires a very steep pen angle, so that the stroke thickness may better balance with the thickness of upright stems. I measured the pen angle as about 50 degrees to the horizontal at the beginning, but you really need to judge the stroke thickness rather than try and remember too many pen angles when they are constantly changing. The thickness at the beginning should match that of a vertical stem. I flatten the pen angle towards the base to make a serif at the normal angle, about 25 degrees. To do this, I rotate the pen clockwise in my fingers along the stroke, particularly towards the base. It may be written at a constant steep angle and the serifs drawn and filled in afterwards. I build up the serif again using the left half of the nib. There's a corner flick for the next serif, followed by a thin stroke, again requiring a steep pen angle. I curve to thicken the stroke beneath the baseline and finish with a hairline serif. Finally, the top serif is carefully built up. I've demonstrated the V group letters individually, but it's important to practice them, as with all letters, in words and text, where they should fit into the rhythmic sequence. Simply writing N between each of the letters is a good way to relate the V group to its fundamental proportion. Then write words and word combinations. Mine may serve as samples to copy. Printable versions are included among the guide sheets. Now that I've shown a full alphabet, practice the new letters initially in short words and then go on to paragraphs of text. A lot of the material I'll be discussing is housed here in the Archaeology Building of the National Museum of Ireland. The purpose-built Victorian building first opened this door to the public in 1890. It would be worth a visit just for the architecture, even if it had no collections. This piece from about 800 BCE was one of 4 gold discs which were uncovered in 1795 by a man while ploughing land near the town of Enniscorthy, County Wexford. He sold the artefacts to a local silversmith who unfortunately melted down 2 of the discs for bullion. Following research by Mary Cahill of the National Museum, it is thought that 2 of the gold discs would have been connected by a gold tube to make an ear spool, like this almost intact one. Hence the original set of 4 discs would have made a pair of ear spools as worn by many different cultures, past and present. The discs, at about 12 centimeters diameter, would appear imposing when worn in a stretched earlobe. The other of the two surviving discs is kept by the Metropolitan Museum of Art in New York.
When leaves fall down, winter is coming, worry. I lose my faith so far away, worry.
Other forms in prehistoric Irish art suggest that the sun was not the only celestial body that may have attracted cult symbolism. The moon's Latin name Luna has the diminutive form lunula, little moon, and this name is given to distinctive late Neolithic and early Bronze Age gold collars. The vast majority of gold lunulae come from Ireland, more than 80 of the 100 plus found in Western Europe. I'll do that slowly. Once I cross the thin point on the curve, the left half of the nib does not mark the paper. It is raised away from contact while the right half continues to write with a vigorous push. Since my hand is rested and not moving on the paper, the farther my fingers reach, the nib gradually rises to finish on just the right corner. When done vigorously, there is a follow-through movement in the air after the pen leaves the paper. I often leave the serif informally as it is, without building up. The second script of the program will be a hybrid of Celtic forms with a particular italic script. In any hybrid, a designer may choose how much of any of the contributing forms are emphasized or subdued. Thus, with experience, a wide variety of hybrids are possible. Let me introduce some of the variants I've written in the past before I demonstrate a model for you to practice. This logo for a Hollywood, California art gallery specializing in Irish contemporary art wanted a fresh identity without nostalgia. This is mostly italic, with just the letter R deriving some Celtic influence. I allowed a few more Celtic forms to be perceived in the lettering for this calligraphy. It was for the jacket design of a book on Anglo-Saxon poetry. A famous poem, originally written by a scribe in the 9th century about his cat named Pangerbawn, is particularly apt for Celtic treatment. I've written it many times in variants of Celtic hybrid script. Among my earliest attempts at a hybrid, I made this rendition aged 17. It is a hybrid of Irish minuscules with an italic. I made this version as a commission for the Book of Kells exhibition in Trinity College Library, Dublin. It adopts a more compressed form, while this more recent version is bolder and squatter. These are all variants of Celtic hybrid script, as I'll teach here. Making things with the scripts you learn is your ultimate target. Such a thing might be as simple as a personalised bookmark, or could be as complex as a hand-bound manuscript book. Choose projects to suit your level of experience and that you can complete in whatever time that you can make available.